call.
Mayor Candelora.
Here.
Deputy Mayor Wentworth.
Here.
Counselor Angeloni.
Here.
Counselor Caprio.
Here.
Counselor Duty.
Here.
Counselor Esposito. Counselor Fawnin.
Here.
Counselor Fucci. Counselor Sienna.
May I have a motion to approve the minutes, previous meeting, September 17th, 2013, special WPCA and regular town council meeting.
So moved. I'll second it, but there's two corrections. On page 3, item C, under Communications Subcommittee, it is actually Mayor Candelora that reported I was not at that meeting. And on page 8, the first line, it should say that this motion is taking the surplus instead of talking.
Moved by Deputy Mayor Wentworth, seconded by Councilor Angeloni, reflecting the corrections. Roll call.
Mayor Candelora.
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Wentworth.
Yes.
Counselor Angeloni.
Yes.
Counselor Caprio.
Yes.
Counselor Duty.
Yes.
Counselor Fawnin.
Yes.
Water Pollution Control Authority agenda. Item 3, correspondence, citizens' statements. Item 4, unfinished business. Extension of sanitary sewers, Gale Drive.
Good evening. Included in your agenda packet, there's a overall memorandum dated September 25th, giving the history of the request for sanitary sewers service portion of homes on Gale Drive, and then the subsequent action of WPCA, basically to approve going forward with it, subject to final getting numbers and then funding law. We've recently received bids last week for the project. The project had initial estimated cost per property of $14,000 per house. Bids came in, we did have a very favorable bid. The low bid was basically resulted in an estimated cost of about $8,600 per home. So, the sanitary sewers. It's low. The other ones were all pretty much around the estimated number, but there was one very favorable bid. So I'm in the process right now just checking the references and everything to make sure everything looks like it's ready to go forward. But there's a couple of sort of leftover issues that sort of like make sure we file properly with everybody on board. Initially, when we went through the question about whether we should install sanitary sewers in Gale Drive, there were 3 people in favor. Out of 6, there were 3 in favor and 3 against. And that was based on the estimated cost of $14,000 per household. In addition, each of those property owners is required to put a rider pump in to connect to sanitary sewer. It's a small diameter force main. We have a couple of them in town, but it looks like it's basically on a water main that you're pumping into. So they have that cost on top of it. Some of them were concerned about the cost. Again, with the numbers coming in the way they did, what I'd like to do is just follow up to the authorization last year. Just send letters out to everybody. Here's the real number we have. We have a bid. Get a final feedback for or against. Because there is the option of excluding 2 properties, and I bid it that way. The number doesn't change on a per unit basis. Basically, $8,600 per unit, and that includes the contingencies, whether we leave off the last stub or not. And there's 2 property owners. They were sort of, I've talked to them recently. They were unsure. I mean, I think this certainly works in their favor in terms of a more positive
Did you tell them the new cost?
Pardon me?
Did you tell them the new cost?
Yeah, I've talked to a couple people. I've talked to everybody here. People have contacted me. That I mean, the numbers have.
And what was it? What did you?
The original estimate was about $14,000.
$14,000
per unit, and then
that's a big.
concern is it might be a little
savings.
higher. Well, it actually came in very well. Not a big time process to put it in. So what I'd like to do is basically, with the WPA blessing, if we could schedule a special WPCA meeting for the October 15th meeting, I'll send letters out to everybody and just let
great that they didn't get it all done, except for two people. I think it's great.
And the big thing behind you, you're trying to get this in, because we're gonna redo Gale Drive, part of the road program. So they realize savings, that we don't have to patch the road. We put a temporary patch and let it settle over the winter, and we're good to go with the road. We had that one, but that was lined up basically in the spring, early summer. But price-wise, even if you don't want it, it's also pretty good, basically buying insurance. You have the ability, if you have a problem, to readily connect.
I don't see any reason not putting that on the next agenda, if that's gonna
Yeah.
save people
Yeah,
some
the
money.
other two people should be aware of the property value of their house on sewers versus a
Yeah.
septic system, you know,
Right.
especially in that area.
Yeah, and to be honest with you, two people in the end, I did talk to them last week, and one was sort of leaning forward, with even at the estimated cost. I did report, bids we actually received, and that, I think, may sway a few people, but like I said, if you spread that over 20 years, the spreadsheet included your, the memo on your, look at it, your desk, not that much. And again, if you have a problem,
Just make
we'll have a
sure
solution.
with that vast difference that this company, you know, has done this before and
They've done it, and like I said, I do need to, I've talked to the, company owner, and just checking out, I gotta check out references to make sure. But to be honest with you, it's a relatively simple process, it's not anything complicated.
is that with the grinder pumps too?
It doesn't include the grinder pump.
No.
Individual property owners would have
Have to
to
purchase
purchase their own, grinder pumps, which are estimated to be between $10,000 and $15,000 for installation. So they have a number, a cost to incur at the end of all this, but, this gets them the sewer in front of the property, right to the property line.
Kirk, what does it mean that two property owners may opt out? And if they do, are they unable to ever connect to the sewer line?
Okay, there's two people at the end of the line.
Yeah.
Basically, so, the way I laid it out is I had a base bid that, ended short of them, and then I had an extension that included those two properties in there. So if they choose not to go forward with it, then it would be short of their property. I mean, and then they would be faced with the cost of extending the sewer line somewhere down the road if they ever wanted to connect.
So if they have an on-site failure that can't be repaired, they've got just a longer pipe to run.
Well, they've got to run into town standards, it's not just a service connection, it's a little, we do the, town-owned maintained portion. It's a
It'll
little
be end-
larger, and
it'll-
it's in the road.
It'll be ending under street.
It'll be ending on the street, but it'll be short of that.
Right, so that's the add alternate
That's the add alternate.
on each of the bids.
That's correct. And that add alternate, I mean, when you look at whether 4 properties are connected or 6 properties connected, the unit cost stays the same.
And
My
what-
guess is they're gonna lean towards,
What happens if one wants it and one does
well,
not?
then the WPCA has authority to, and then the WPCA, the motion last year was to move ahead with it. This is just,
Well, I'm speaking about cost. Would the cost be alternate one for one or two properties
well,
to the
if
town?
You're serving both of them, then they're gonna have frontage and have access to it, or none of that.
Okay, so you've got to do both or
You
not
gotta
do both?
Yeah,
Okay, that, I guess that,
yeah.
inartfully, that's what I was asking. Thank you.
Okay. So again, what we need to do is schedule a special WPCA meeting on the October 15th meeting. We don't need to go to a public hearing, this is really just an extra step, but to make sure everybody is on board, they know what they're dealing with. Because, like I said, the numbers have come in much more favorably than, even the last minute, so I think that's gonna help everyone along as well.
I'd like to make a motion to add a special WPCA meeting to our October 15th town council meeting.
Second.
moved
Does
by,
that require publication of a special meeting, or is it just part of the agenda?
It'll be a special WPCA meeting, but a regular town council.
Notice as a special WPC.
Notice
exactly.
just says
But
it's a
not with-
special.
Exactly,
Okay.
without it.
I'm sorry, go ahead.
moved by Councilor Angeloni, seconded by Deputy Mayor Wentworth. Roll call.
Mayor Candelora,
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Wentworth.
Yes.
Counselor Angeloni,
Yes.
Counselor Caprio,
Yes.
Counselor Duty,
Yes.
Counselor Fawnin,
Yes.
Counselor Fucci,
Abstain.
Counselor, that's it?
Okay, new business, none. Citizen statements and petitions. Okay, I'm gonna ask if we can, on unfinished business, item G, which is the proposed regulation pertaining to massage therapy establishment draft. If I would get a motion to amend the agenda to move that up. Mike Pasquarello is here from East Shore Health. He has a prior commitment.
I'll make that motion.
Second.
Second.
Moved by Deputy Mayor Wentworth, seconded by Councilor Fawnin. Roll call.
Mayor Candelora,
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Wentworth.
Yes.
Counselor Angeloni,
Yes.
Counselor Caprio,
Yes.
Counselor Duty,
Yes.
Counselor Fawnin,
Yes.
Counselor Fucci.
Yes.
Good evening. And this is item 12G.
Good evening, and thank you for moving me up on the agenda. I really appreciate it. I do have another commitment. So I want to give you an update on our ordinance. And so the massage therapist ordinance is moving forward. If you recall, last time I spoke to the council, we were in the process of drafting it. We have a working draft now, which we presented to the towns, the 3 district towns, to the different officials, and also they're working and meeting regularly with the massage therapists. And we've gotten some good feedback from them. They made some changes. They asked us to be flexible on some of the regulations that we have. And in the next week or so, after we made the changes, we want to hear back from them, and then we plan to move forward sometime next month with a public hearing. And then after the public hearing, it would become a district ordinance. And I'm not sure if you have a copy of it.
Yeah.
Again, it's a working draft. Now it is just ink on paper. Anything can be changed.
Does each town have to have its own public hearing? Do we have a public hearing?
So the way the process works with ordinance is a district ordinance versus a town ordinance. It goes through the same process. It has to go through legal review. It would go through public hearing. But the vote would be the district board of directors. And if the district board of directors votes yes, then it would become law.
What council will be reviewing this? Would that be our town attorney? Or,
It's not required to go through town council. It's required to go through the district council. We have council that we
that would be
use.
looking at?
Mike, your council, I mean, if we had any issues through our council or council reviewing, certainly give those comments to you, right?
Absolutely, yes.
Yeah.
If there's anything that you feel you would like changed, it can be changed at this point. One of the things we're trying to do is strike that balance between the regulation part of it and the business part. And again, we are working with massage therapists. They've asked for some flexibilities. In fact, we've taken it to the next step. And we're doing surveys, voluntary surveys for any massage therapy establishment, so we could see what it looks like real world, because we've never gone into some of these places before. And so by doing the survey, that's going to give us an idea, can they meet this? And if they can't meet this, we're going to either give more time, or we're just going to amend this. We're looking at it in 2 phases, so there's the existing places. We try to make it as easy as possible for the existing places to comply, and then new places, there may be some additional requirements. So we are trying to strike that balance.
What about the people who have an in-home business?
So if they are doing massage therapy at home, and they're licensed by the state, have to be licensed by the state of Connecticut, and the zoning department would have to approve that place. So there are some requirements that are beyond health, maybe zoning, fire department, building department. there is a clause in here for home businesses. So as long as they meet those requirements, we would license them.
And do any of these like go mobile? In other words, you know, from their business, do they go out to service clients, you know, massage?
So right now, the ordinance is just a focus on the bricks and mortar right now. One of the things that we are discussing with the state and the massage therapists is at some point, we may issue what we call temporary licenses, because at like road races and some events, they do set up massage tables. But the consensus right now, talking to not just the state, but the massage therapists, is let's focus on the licensed places. And then the ones that do travel to doctor's office, for instance, chiropractors, physical therapists, they're already licensed by the state of Connecticut. They're already inspected, so we do not plan to have an additional license for them. And that would be just undue hardship.
Mike, what you just mentioned, so a chiropractor, in this definition of C massage therapy, they're excluded.
Yes, they are. They're exempt from this.
Right, and a few others here in terms of naturopathy and others. But what about, what I don't see in here is someone who does reflexology. Is that covered, or are they covered separately like a chiropractor?
My understanding is that particular profession is still being defined. And when we talked to the state, they felt that it's something that the local health department should not be licensed. And so that's why we're not licensing them at this time.
Does the state have a set of regulations regarding these establishments too?
Right now, the state of Connecticut only licenses the individual, the person who is actually given the massage. They do not license the establishment. What this establishes is the license for the establishment.
Good by me.
Any other questions? All right, thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right, moving on to reports of committees, boards, and commissions. Item A, Economic Development Commission.
Yes, Economic Development Commission met last night, and then they'll meet again on Monday. They're just working on language that will basically describe the charrette process and trying to create a, for lack of a better word, marketing blurb, if you will, in terms of the process and what we're looking for in the workshops. Alan Plattis will be back in town later this week. We're hoping to have him at the meeting on Monday, again, to look at the steps we need to take and the calendar moving forward, trying to get an outline of how we're going to proceed with the various workshops, charrette, and things that we need to do. So they're still very excited and moving along, and now it's picking up steam because they're really giving a lot of thought to incorporating as many stakeholders as they can and trying to identify them. We talked through logistics, we talked through about identification, the marketing, this piece. So it's a script so that they're consistent in saying, okay, what it is we're trying to accomplish, or what the Economic Development Commission is trying to accomplish with the Route 80, 139 corridor, with the focus there, obviously with the town's piece, 1599 Foxen Road. So it's a great exercise because they're all coming at it, with different preconceived ideas of what it is, and they're getting, involved in this. They recognize how hard it is going to be to try and explain this process to the public, and so they're trying to craft this message that is consistent and be able to put that out and entice people to get involved and participate in, either being there on site or sending in comments, one way or the other, and to be able to understand what the goal is. So it's moving along.
Has there been any discussion from the state or anyone about the parcel of 139? That
Not at,
strip of land?
not at this point, but I imagine that's going to be, certainly part of this market analysis, part of the discussion, part of the piece, and how we, who, obviously the inventory of who owns what and what the impact is. I mean, those are, it's part of identifying all of the stakeholders. So next meeting, Monday night here, 7 o'clock.
Item D, permanent project building committee.
There was no meeting since our last meeting, and their next meeting, due to the Columbus holiday, is scheduled for October 15th at 6 o'clock, so that's a special date and a special time, so that'll be, it's right before the council meeting.
Communications subcommittee, that has not met. I believe we'll be going on agenda over the next week or so.
Right. Well, that one is also scheduled for the holiday, Columbus Day, so a new date has to come up.
Right.
It has to be determined for that one.
Item D, finance committee.
The next meeting is October 9th, which is next Wednesday.
Item 8, town manager's report. And 8, Route 80 update.
Yeah, I can just say, weather's cooperating, so they're moving along, that helps. And I did talk with Kurt briefly, there's a meeting tomorrow, but there is talk already about trying to get weekend in, and potentially working on the weekends to try to make it up. And as long as this weather continues to cooperate, then yeah, they might be able to get most of what they need done. But I think it, certainly this is still going to be one of those items that rolls over into next season, unless we have a very long, extended patch of weather like that. We'll have more information from tomorrow's meeting and then present for the 15th, and that, of course, will be closer to, the end of the season. We'll see what they say.
How far out are they going to keep working?
Good question. I don't know yet. Maybe Kurt knows. I don't.
The control is paving.
Right.
In November, they usually have a cutoff. They usually say in their specification, I think it's November 1st or something, they give extensions,
Yeah.
depending on the weather, and that's the big variable, is favorable temperatures. When I talked to the inspector, they said, you thought they'd see a lot of pavement going down in about 2 weeks. They're making pretty good progress on the north side of the road. So that, they're trying to schedule that. They indicated they'd probably be doing some Saturday work on Route 139, trying to get that paved, and to try to move the schedule along as best they can. But they're making the push, and the question is, well, if something doesn't pop up that's unforeseen, or the weather doesn't, turn unfavorable or cause an issue, their plan is, the hope is that things are at least behind it out, and so they can open it up. But that's not a definite until it happens.
Did they mention anything about painting by 139, the turn-in? I know there's been a lot of people concerned with that.
No, I haven't. We can certainly put that on.
Yeah, if you could ask that. It gets a little confusing
It is
over there,
confusing.
trying to get it out on 139.
I'm surprised we have not had a problem with the way they had the lights set back
Yeah.
for the old lane, and
It
that's
looks like
closed
you
off.
almost have to further.
Yeah, it looks like
Yeah.
you're pulling into the traffic coming towards you if you don't go where they don't want you to go. And there's no sign or anything to
Right,
warn
that's why
people.
people have been asking.
I
if they put
did
a
mention that,
line.
so I'm gonna follow up, because
Yeah.
that was, I saw the same thing, and,
And being familiar with it, it's bad enough, but a
Right.
stranger coming
Well,
through
no,
there at night,
at night, right.
Thanks. Item B, community center update.
Yeah, they made the move. They're still, kind of feeling their way around in terms of the co-location, and there are some issues we're dealing with in terms of space and storage, trying to work out those issues. Parking is an issue that's going to be something that they have to deal with. until the Phase 2 project comes online in terms of the, more of a spring. So it's just trying to coordinate, trying to, do things that keep at least the ramp, keeping our, service trucks or anyone from blocking, the ramp for the seniors and so forth. Just parking as far away from the building in terms of staff as we can so that, the patrons can get there. And there's certainly an early crowd with the fitness center, but the traffic there seems to be picking up already. People coming in to inquire about memberships, want to take a look at it, want to see the new room. So there's a lot of interest. Had to bring the HVAC system folks in to give the training in terms of, the system, in terms of the heating and ventilation and so forth. Make sure they understood that. There were some issues with, we're co-located in the server room, so that's got to be under lock and key. So who has the key, where, one key holder, that sort of thing. So because those are very, very sensitive, you don't want just anybody to open up and walk in there. So that and just the people coming in, some of the patrons and clients were just walking down the hall, but the Board of Ed now has their divider up. That wasn't up when they moved in. So things are starting to work out, and people getting a feel for where everything is. Kitchen items, they're still arranging and moving around in there, but they love it. They've got great space. They've got great amenities. They love the fact that they can take out the coffee cart and roll it right into the gym and be comfortable. And the seniors, I think, from everything I hear, love it. And there is, and that's the reason we had the HVAC in terms of trying to control the temperature, and is the most difficult time of the season to do that when you're transitioning from summer into fall and those outside versus inside temperatures and so forth. So it's important, to keep try to get a comfortable climate in there. So things are moving along, and I think we should talk about, the council should consider the, sort of a formal dedication, if you will, or opening, or some type of ceremony this month, I would think, and I would throw out the 29th potentially as the fifth Tuesday might work for everybody, hopefully.
Well, it seems like it's already set, according to the newsletter that's out. So
Yeah.
I don't know that the council really has any say in it.
Well, you could, certainly, you have the final say.
Well.
And I didn't see that, so
Well,
if it's out, it's out.
It's from 10 to 2 and from 5:30 to 7:30.
Yeah, well, I think it's important for and I don't know if that's the rec or senior side, but I think it's important for the council to either, pick that same day to do something, or whatever day you like, to do I would think, a formal type of ceremony or ribbon cutting or whatever you want to do. And pick the date and time that works for all of you.
I had a couple of complaints from people who are in the fitness room that the televisions aren't there anymore. I see two big televisions down in the community center in the Beatty. They're up quite high. They're very big televisions. Are they going to take those or what?
Yeah, I don't know yet. I saw those as well. I don't know if that's something that they were going to be able to support within the room. I don't believe we had, a plan to remove the brackets that hold. Those are those aren't flat screens. Those are big old, big bulky TVs. But I'll check with Pam in terms of what that.
Because a couple of people complained about it because they watch TV while they're exercising,
Okay, yeah.
But then I happened to see those. I said, maybe they're not taking them. I don't know.
Probably be cheaper to put flat screens up there.
Right, well, what we have to run right, you may be right, Mike, I don't know yet.
Well,
I'll have to.
didn't they have televisions on each of the machines?
Yeah, we did
Small ones?
And we did the runs, we did the drops to do that, so this may just be excess and not worth the cost of bringing those two over, with respect to how you would have to mount those someplace. Unlike the lighter, flat screens, and some of the machines have them built in.
Maybe somebody should take them down so they can be sold there when the Public Works sells different things from the town, they get rid of stuff.
About 3 cents.
Yeah. I'll find out for you. Talk to Pam.
And also, the number has changed. It is now 203-484-6017. So the number to the community center has changed.
So I guess getting back to October 29th, is that something the council wants to do, a grand opening or something?
Well,
Or-
I just think it's a little hard for most of the council members to get there for a ribbon cutting in the morning if they're having their grand opening from 10 to 2
Yeah,
in the morning, or through the day, and then the one in the evening. So I don't know if we wanted to do just a ribbon cutting prior to this.
And handle it. You're good
Well,
at
I
cutting
mean,
ribbons.
could we move our council meeting for October 15th up there? Because we can use the same room that they use for the Board of Ed meetings,
That's a
and
possibility, yeah.
have the ribbon cutting prior to the council meeting. And then they can still go ahead and have their grand opening, whatever they have planned for their grand opening celebration.
We could just send the mayor to represent the council.
Yeah, handle it. 10 o'clock, October 29th, go cut the ribbon. Thanks, you're the man.
I mean, that's a possibility, you can call over and find out. It would have to, I think, have to be noticed as a special meeting, because you're meeting in a different location. But I think, if it's available, and that's an easy call to find out, just whether or not that's what the council wants to do, or if it should be just if you wanna call it a ribbon cutting, or, dedication, whatever you wanna call it.
Well, we got a few weeks to worry about it anyway.
Yeah, I mean, you don't necessarily, I'm just raising, I think, somebody else brought it up as well, and I said, yeah, it's some sort of, now that they're moved over, you really should have some sort of, I think, formal type of ribbon cutting, dedication, ceremony, of some kind. And it's up to you, I mean, I can send an email to poll the members and to say, what time and date and time works best for you all.
This is hardly a
Something to
significant
ponder.
issue that we've really got to spend a lot of time on.
Right.
You can set it up on
Exactly.
the 15th, do it, you can't, Anthony's gonna be lonely on the 20th.
Yeah, exactly.
Thanks, Joe.
He's the best ribbon cutter I know.
Item C, Farm River Bridge Project, letter to DOT.
Yeah, what you have in
Got
the,
a draft tonight.
yeah, you have the minutes too, and they're, yeah, but that was something you had asked for after the meeting to, formally request, so that's in there for you.
The minutes from the DOT?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, sort of,
Yeah,
I call it minutes, yeah, it's
there were,
the,
it says notes,
That just, yeah, has
Notes.
notes on who spoke.
because we didn't
and said
have
what.
to, we didn't have to approve them, they weren't.
I guess I got a question, Kurt, on that, I mean, what kind of leverage do we have if they think they're gonna choke Route 80 down to one lane like that? I mean, we're basically gonna cripple the town, I mean, do
Yeah,
we?
I think they, after talking to them, they heard loud and clear about the concerns and,
Uh-huh,
and they generally try to, my understanding, they try to address those concerns and,
the only way in and out of town, you know?
right, right, I mean, and that was loud and clear, and, there's a good article in the paper, and they register afterwards, and, I mean, they saw that, so they will come back. I think they gotta look a little longer and harder at the temporary bridge, and the rights required, make sure that all fits in there. That's my understanding, they're looking long and hard at that.
Now, I was talking to Sal Candeloro last week, and he had an idea that might work, and he called the state, and nobody ever called him back. He must have
That
called
doesn't
from one of the
surprise
cards.
me.
What?
I said, that doesn't surprise me.
No, it doesn't
that the
surprise
state
me either,
didn't
but I
call
think that's
somebody
kind of, maybe he's got a good idea, who knows?
Yeah, and if you get to me, I mean, I can get the contact, because it all depends on who you're talking to. I mean, there's that project core that, are responsible for that project, that they'll look at any detail of it. Then there's, of course,
I think he's gone to Florida now, but,
yeah, but if someone gets it to me, or I can either make sure everybody has each other's number
well,
and
he was
name,
concerned,
or forward
he was
it on.
concerned about closing down those businesses right near there, Full Place and Waltz Auto. I mean, that's gonna take the whole,
Well, that's what has to be looked at, in terms of location.
He was trying to do it on the sportsplex side. That's what he had some idea, I don't know what it was, because I didn't ask him.
I know their initial goal was to try and keep away from the north side, only from the, because the water mains were trying to avoid all that. But they'll have to, they can look at all of
I
that.
mean, maybe he's got a good idea that might work even better. They don't have to do all the stuff they're trying to do. And this isn't gonna go on till 2014, isn't it?
15.
2015, that's,
15,
in 2015,
Maybe
doesn't
they'll all leave
necessarily
their
mean
jobs by then.
2015. I mean, that's the target date. You know, those dates change all the time. If you look at 80, we'll know that one. I mean, but they do want to address it. It's a condition issue with the grade system.
When it does start up, what's the length of the project, the estimated time?
Well, it's one construction season. It's one construction season.
Oh, one construction
Right.
season?
It's like March to
Yeah, I mean,
November.
and what they indicated, they looked at trying to move things, you know, trying to condense it as much as possible. But it depends on exactly what the final plan is, how they're gonna package it.
Mhm.
That really dictates, the overall construction, timeframe.
How old is that bridge?
But it was, sometime in the 30s.
About 80.
Yeah, they gave us
Yeah.
that in that information. It was
Yeah,
around
that's right, too.
1930.
Right. So
I was wondering just how, if it was really necessary at this point.
Well, I mean, they're saying it's a structural issue.
Oh,
That's
okay.
definitely.
What the
They
guy
wanna
said was
address it
its useful
before-
life is about 50 years, and the thing is at 80.
Oh, it's 80, that's right, too. I remember that. Didn't seem too worried about it coming back 80 years later, did they?
Well, if you looked at, if you remember the slides they had of the underside, it was like, I don't remember the technical
Chipped
term, but
away.
it's falling away. There
I
are
looked
pieces
at
of
the
it
bridge
chipping
today.
off.
Yeah, it is chipping off, yeah.
Community events and presentations. Citizen statements, petitions, and correspondence. Item A, Harry Juniper, Agricultural Commission. Harry, I'm writing to inform the council that I do not wish to be reappointed to the Agricultural Commission. I've served on this commission since it was formed as an alternate. Sincerely, Harry L. Juniper.
I would like to send him a letter and thank him for his service on the commission and accept his resignation with regret. 'Cause I
I'm
know
not sure
he's
that was a
always there.
resignation. He said he doesn't want to be reappointed.
Well, Steve still resigns, really. He doesn't really be, well,
It's
thank
okay
him,
with me.
thank him for his service on the committee. Because he was always at every meeting, and
11, resignations and appointments. Item A, appointment of Fire Commissioner Anthony Galicchio as representative to the Town's Pension Committee.
So moved.
second,
Moved by Councilor Duty, seconded by Deputy Mayor Wentworth. Roll call.
Mayor Candelora.
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Wentworth.
yes.
Counselor Angeloni.
Yes.
Counselor Caprio.
Yes.
Counselor Duty.
Yes.
Counselor Fawnin.
Yes.
Counselor Fuji.
Yes.
12, unfinished business discussion and action. A, updates to the defined benefit plan document completion table. Item B, program review, Human Relations Department, Counseling Services.
Yeah, you had asked about this, and so the memo here is some of the data prepared on our town services and our involvement with the school system. So I'm not sure if there's any questions there, but I can tell you it was pretty eye-opening. And what I included in there is also, as you see, in addition to the clients that were served and how we served, how many we served, and the majority being adolescent children versus adult, there's also the billing part that, as you can see from the history, just dropped right off the table, so to speak, with respect to how much, revenue was coming in.
That was the thing that jumped out at me. And I don't know if we reinstate these positions, but if they're reinstated, that's not an excuse. The billing is complex and requires a specialized skill set.
Well,
Find it. Make it happen.
Well,
But an outside firm.
it's a note, yeah.
We've gone from $7,500 in a matter of 3 years down to $800.
They have people that do special medical billing and coding.
Yeah,
That's what my wife does at Gaylord and stuff. So,
I think it was more of the clinician's failure to get insurance information.
So the people that want to be reinstated, they just don't think it's important that we get paid for it, for their service.
I think this additional information on this was pretty interesting about the services that Branford offers. And if we could kind of get into their program, I think they have a very comprehensive program, and it might be beneficial to actually have the kids go there. It's on the last page of the,
Right.
yeah.
Yeah, I think also what happens, Joe, is the structure in which this type of service for North Branford was set up wasn't optimal. If you have two part-timers coming in, they want to focus their time on clients and therapy, and that's what they're trained to do. They're not necessarily trained to, or if they are going to do it, and we tell them to do it, then they're going to take 19 hours and spend 5 hours doing, or more, doing medical response, or taking a 40-minute session, spending time doing.
That's really not a good answer, Mike.
Well, I'm
Well,
just
Our
saying.
focus is
I
on the
think we
fiscal
should
side
send
of
them
the
to
town.
Branford.
And if we're providing a service and there's a way to be reimbursed for it, we've got to be reimbursed.
You gotta run a business like a business. I mean, you can't provide a service and not send somebody a bill,
Exactly.
you know?
Well, that's why
Yeah.
this Branford thing looks pretty good.
Right, well, and that's why it's there, because it's a world of difference.
Right.
It's because they have a staff, so when they're in this field, their clinicians,
They
their
have people that
psychiatrists.
do all that, the billing, all that stuff.
Right, they're there, they've got a team behind them to do that, because they're focused on delivering a service of therapy.
Right, and we already
Not-
do cooperative agreements with Branford anyway.
And and also noted from the school side would have given more referrals to our counselors had they not been part-time, because the problem is when a student or child is in crisis, if they're not waiting for a phone call, that's going to be coming a day later, or at the end of the day, after our counselors get out of their primary job, come here, take phone calls and respond. So they were doing as much as they thought was prudent, but they said there's certainly within their need within the school system, and all those numbers are there for you. They keep climbing, and when they see a child in crisis, they want to know that they've got a solution. They've got someone they can refer to that's going to be able to take the caseload and be able to take the child. So that's why I thought it would be helpful for me to go and talk with Peter and see what Branford had in terms of their operations, and I think there's some great opportunity there. To me, my opinion, my 2 cents is that Branford has a better model than what we
So
had.
can you
and going-
continue the dialogue with them and see what would be needed to come up with some type of agreement and exactly how it would work?
Yeah, we've been through this in terms of the animal shelter. We have an agreement. They're receptive to it. So whether it can work, they're not saying that, but they're saying, yeah, sure, come and talk to us. We can talk about it. If it works, it
I
works.
think that's the
Yeah.
smartest thing to do.
I think that's the route to go, rather than hiring our own part-time staff back.
And
I
nickel and
do
dime it
too,
again.
without a doubt.
Only just because you can offer more services to them.
And they can also
And-
bill it
Right,
and do it right.
yeah.
you
So
know?
I
mean,
think
then you
that
could- you
would
could
be the way
recoup
to.
something there too. But
Well, sounds good to me.
Okay, with you're okay, I'll do that, I'll pursue that, and I'll begin
Please.
to look at that.
Okay. Item C, Potato and Corn Festival update. Really no news yet, right?
No, I thought, Pam doesn't have any other, unless something came in finance, nothing new that.
No,
we
Are all
just-
the bills paid now?
there's still more coming.
Still more coming.
There's still more bills?
why does it take so long to get bills from,
I
when
understand that.
when somebody owes you money, they send the bill out and they want their money. It just doesn't make sense.
Well, she was waiting for police from other towns, so
Is
My-
that what we're waiting on?
It was Branford, North Haven,
The VidTech ambulance billing one got mixed up with the regular billings, and they're making a separate invoice for the festival. There's a few other ones out there lingering.
Yeah, it doesn't make sense that they linger so long, because especially I would think a town would want their money too, more than anything. And I think we need to start either learning how to button this up a lot quicker and put all the figures together very soon, because it gets dragged out almost in 6 or 8 months, and it kind of gets ridiculous to be able to track something like this. We need something that's more concise and better organized, or whatever it is, because honestly, when we get papers here and papers there, it's hard to follow all this stuff.
You have to do it under mercy, it's not something you control yourself. So it's.
But like I said, North Haven, I'm sure they want to get paid for their police time. So, I mean, it just makes sense to me.
I can have updated numbers for finance on Wednesday here.
Proposal to increase town's bid threshold for Public Works Department.
Yeah, that's the ordinance change that would have to follow, just like the building fees. So that language is there, and actually revised it. You don't need all those pages, because actually, John had looked at it as well, and it's really just that bold piece right there.
The one line in bold, that's it.
That's it,
so,
basically.
so there's the other page that's on our desk, that was on our desk, that's,
Yeah.
so
And,
it's condensed down to one paragraph.
exactly, and that'll help us in terms of the public hearing notice. And I would suggest, because we have this, we can get it in line with the next meeting on the 15th, and I would suggest, because we already have the other one at 7:30, that this one go at 8, or just make a motion to have this. Even though I said 7, I think if you want to amend that, 8, because I think what you've got is, you're going to have the special meeting with WPCA, even though it's not a hearing or anything, but that's going to be there. So maybe you want to make this at 8, it's your prerogative, but the other one is set for 7:30 already slotted for 7:30. That's
Yeah,
the
let's just make it
building.
7:45, because I don't anticipate that one taking too long on the building piece.
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay, so I'd like to make a motion, be it hereby resolved that the town council approves the proposed change to its purchasing guidelines, chapter 84-11, as presented, and sets a public hearing to be held on October 15th, 2013 at 7:45 PM. And there's just one typo in this also. Right after the bold print, it says the purchasing agent shall invite it sealed bids. That should just be invite, just so that's corrected.
I don't understand this. Is this internally inconsistent? It says we are approving the proposed change and setting it for public hearing. We have to go to public hearing before we can approve it.
We're just approving the
Proposed-
language.
proposed language.
The proposed language, because that's at the last council meeting, that's what we asked to
It
have.
doesn't say that. It says approve the proposed change to its purchasing guidelines. I read that to mean
So
we're
let's
adopting
put
the change.
proposed
Proposed
language
language.
change.
Or just approves the proposed language.
Right.
It's not, this is not approving the verbiage. It's just saying we're approving the proposed change and setting it for public hearing. That's backwards.
So basically, if
So we
nobody,
just need a motion to set the public hearing,
I think so.
because this is the language change that we wanted to see before we set the public.
Correct.
Okay.
can I
So-
ask a question too while we're on this? Because I apologize, but I did miss the last meeting. You're saying that this is a proposal to set the language for the public hearing. So just so I understand it right, if nobody comes to the public hearing and opposes this, this is gonna be what we're going with?
Correct.
But
And
we'll still
everybody's
vote on it
okay
that
with
night.
this?
Yeah, we still have to vote on it that night.
All right, we're gonna vote on it that night, but I mean, preliminary, we voted on this to put the language for, and everybody's okay with, I'm reading $7,500 for the expenditures for the town, side and $15,000 for public works without coming back to us? So those are,
Right, this was discussed at Finance Committee
and everybody's okay with that?
last month, and then we presented
Yeah,
it
we
at.
voted on that last
7,500 is the same where it's at right now.
Right, okay, so.
Yeah, we
Yeah.
lost the truck
It's
that we
Public Works.
really could have used, because we couldn't buy it
Public
for
Works.
$10,000.
Now, this language change is just for Public Works Department, or this is the whole purchase?
No,
It sounds like it's just public
The
works.
only thing that's
Public
changing
Works.
is the bold insert.
Okay,
The other stuff
because
is already there.
this
Yeah.
is already all here. The prohibition
Yeah,
on
in-
splitting up,
In here, you got this.
okay, yeah,
Right.
that was on the desk tonight.
Right. Okay, so I'd like to withdraw my motion. And I would make a motion that I would, that the town council sets a public hearing to be held on October 15th, 2013 at 7:45 PM for the purpose of the proposed ordinance entitled Purchasing, amending Chapter 84.
I'll second that motion.
moved by Counselor Angeloni, seconded by Counselor Fawnin. Roll call,
Mayor Candelora.
yes.
Deputy Mayor Wentworth. Yes. Counselor Angeloni.
Yes?
Counselor Caprio.
Yes.
Counselor Duty.
Yes.
Counselor Fawnin.
Yes.
Counselor Fuji.
Yes.
Item E, Cosgrove Animal Shelter Report. Actually, we were supposed to have a meeting with them, which was canceled, and we're rescheduling, I believe, sometime next week. So there's really no update.
Did we ever find our representative for that committee?
We did, I believe she was gonna be at this meeting.
Right.
And now we're trying to reschedule it for next week.
Right. Yeah, they did provide the, you know, the report, and will provide, you know, on a monthly basis.
Right. And we're gonna get a copy of the budget and so on. And then report back. Okay, item F, tax abatement, Woodchase Lane.
This was the deal that Frank Petrusmo negotiated, correct?
Yeah.
Yes?
Correct.
Okay, so it's a done deal, we're just rubber
just have-
stamping it and approving it?
Right, the tax is still on the book, that's what date them for.
Okay. Is there a motion in here? I don't see a motion. That doesn't mean I'll wing it, but,
No, I didn't see one either.
all right, I'm gonna move to approve the proposed tax abatement worked out between the town attorney and Attorney Ippolito's office. The grand list years 2005 to 2008 in the amount of $4,116.71, along with interest of $38.57.29 and lien fees of $96.
Second?
Moved by Counselor Fawnin, seconded by Counselor Angeloni. Roll call,
Mayor Candelora.
yes.
Deputy Mayor Wentworth. Yes. Counselor Angeloni.
Yes.
Counselor Caprio.
Yes.
Counselor Duty.
Yes.
Counselor Fawnin.
Yes.
Counselor Fuji.
Yes.
Item 13, new business, discussion and action. Item A, Finance Subcommittee agenda draft. Anything?
Is there anything that needs to be added to this draft agenda? No? Okay, I make a motion to approve.
I'll second it.
Moved by Counselor Angeloni, seconded by Counselor Fucy. Roll call,
Mayor Candelora.
yes.
Deputy Mayor Wentworth.
Yes.
Counselor Angeloni.
Yes.
Counselor Caprio.
Yes.
Counselor Duty.
Yes.
Counselor Fawnin.
Yes.
Counselor Fuji.
Yes.
Item B, former senior center, 1675 Foxen Road, future use.
Yeah, I was just, I put that on there, so looking for some, you know, guidance in terms of, as we get into economic development, this has been considered and looked at in terms of in that corridor, whether we get, you know, someone to bid separately or developer to look at that in this process, like 1599. I believe it's got its limitations, but it also has some options as well in terms of whether or not the council wants to use it as a revenue potential in terms of renting the hall, because it has got that kitchen, functional kitchen. And I don't know the full history yet on that in terms of what has been derived in terms of revenue, what could be. But if that's an option, if the council wants to do that, or should it be just winterized and, you know, just with maintenance to get it through until the developer, or do you want to, you know, use it for some other function?
It should purely be an economic decision. We ought to check the rental history. I can't imagine that thing generates enough rental income
Pay
to
for
offset the cost of heating and keeping the water in place all winter long. And I think there's no municipal users of that building right now,
Right.
so we probably ought to just winterize it.
Yeah. The other issue though is, it just came today. I was on site to do the walkthrough to look at it. My understanding is that piece comes with the cemetery, and I have yet to confirm the land record or the
The land
parcel.
records are in Branford on that cemetery.
Yeah, I mean, in terms of how, I mean, we own the lot and the building, but are we responsible for the cemetery, and are they in the same lot, the same, you know, deed? I don't know yet. I was told that. I don't know if it's accurate or
There's
not.
something to that. I don't know exactly what it is, but your best bet is to find.
Can't be that
some-
hard to research it, we just subdivide it.
Oh, okay, well, I mean, I'm just saying, if it, yeah, if you, I don't know.
But
I'm
we're
just
not
thinking-
anticipating any ongoing use of that building on a regular basis, are we?
I'm just throwing it out, I don't know, unless you want it for storage. I mean, the other issue, Joanne, we've got to talk about, you know, her office and the chamber, it's got to come out of, you know, 1599.
But I thought Joanne was moving into the unused council caucus room down the hall.
Well, that's one option. I mean, that I have some storage issues, and with that, I mean, I've been moving a lot of.
Well, it seems to me that the winterized building is better for storage than that office.
Well, that's one of the issues. I mean, could it be used, would the council agree to using that as storage?
Why not?
Yeah, I don't see why not.
Well, yeah, I
You
mean,
don't have to control the
gonna
heat
use it
or
for
anything like
anything
that
else.
with it.
yeah, unless you thought that the rental hall was just too,
You're not gonna rent it enough to
Complicated.
make money to cover the cost of that building, there's no way. I mean, you're gonna have to rent that every weekend to do something like that.
I can't imagine that thing's rented more than half a dozen times a year. if that
Mothball it and use it for storage until we, decide what's gonna happen with it.
Yeah, Joanne's the only user with the chamber in the old town hall. It's an empty room right down the hall, just put her there.
yeah, it's just, you know, in terms of, imagine, I don't know if I'll get calls or not, but I'm just, you know, it's, chamber's there,
Calls for what?
as an entity that's a non-governmental function. If anybody cries foul, that's all. I'm just raising that issue.
We're already following it. She's in a public building now.
Right.
And you're talking about putting her to another public building. What's the difference?
Do they have meetings there or something?
No, it's been,
It's just an office, right?
yeah, it's just got an office
It's
that's,
just an office, you can have an office here.
yeah, storage space office, that's all.
Well, it's not a storage space office. There was a mayor's office where the registrars were. They were down there. And then they decided they needed bigger rooms, so they swapped the mayor's office for the registrar's office. And that's been a council caucus room thing. That's where, what you're considering doing is taking the council out of the building altogether. But that is an office.
Yeah, I mean, certainly, it can be, I mean, we looked at it for Louisa, it certainly there's space there, and it can be converted to anything, really. I'm just
Doesn't even
looking
have to
at,
be converted. We could move it just like it is.
well, right,
Because Brannigan was gonna clean out the room altogether, and he never did it.
yeah, I mean, it's just, there's not a whole lot of space here, and we can make it work. but it's not, you know, there's no, not really a place for technology or anything like that. I'm just thinking long-term, I mean, there's no, I don't think there's an issue, but it's just.
Let's close down the old building unless somebody's got an objection to it,
Yeah, I
and
agree.
not heat it, and
Yeah.
not use it, and it's not going to rent, so let's be realistic about it. If we can do something long-term with the building, that's a much better plan as part of your charrette or whatever it is that,
Well, we have to look
We're
and see
gonna
what the
talk about.
deed says and everything in the meantime anyway.
yeah,
So,
that can be
Yeah.
done.
For the
But
time
in
being, we
terms of-
mothball it.
Yeah.
If the chamber's already in a town building, we're not doing anything new by putting them into this building. That room has been empty with a sign on the door saying it's the Council Caucus Chamber. As long as I've remembered, I've never set foot in it. So it's sitting there. And if you need storage, use the building we're putting in the mothballs. Does somebody disagree with me, or am I
Nobody.
just missing something
no,
that's
we all
obvious?
agree with you.
We
Yeah,
don't agree with
nobody.
Mike's pushing to disagree a little bit, for some reason.
Well, I'm just thinking ahead in terms of storage. I mean, if you look at the building over there, I mean, the other side of the building, it just, storage becomes an issue at some point. And if you have the opportunity to use the senior center, then there's an option. But we'll get it done. We'll get it done.
Okay,
Thank you.
great. Let's go.
Right.
Next.
So we can move in, is that what you're saying? So I can tell
I
the board of
think
directors?
we're in accord that that's what's gonna happen, right? Okay, we're good.
Do we need a council vote?
I don't think.
You want a motion to vote on it?
Sure. why not?
I don't think you should motion to vote on.
There's nothing to vote on.
No, it's a private entity going into a town building. I
Right.
don't think it's something that you should formally vote on.
I mean, we all agree.
Okay. Moving on to item 14, citizen statement and petition.
Yeah.
Oh, that, sorry, Anthony,
What you got?
that,
Appropriation transfer.
right.
C,
Where is it?
13C.
I need a motion.
I move that we add to the agenda under 13C,
Yeah.
appropriations transfer. Do you have the financial report to answer?
No, this is a correction of the transfer that was done the last meeting, it was done erroneous, we had the wrong account.
So it's 13C appropriations, right?
Is there any action?
Second,
You should have a motion in front of you. Appropriation transfer is a single, one-liner with
It's in, it was in the folder.
one line's got yellow on the back, so we have to
I saw that.
The side is definitely motion.
I just want to make the motion correct.
Okay.
So North Branford Town Council hereby
well,
approves
this was the motion to
to put it
amend.
on the agenda. Yeah,
Right.
We didn't even vote on that.
Right, that's what we're waiting for, is to vote on,
I
We
didn't
gotta vote on the amendment
right,
to the
Okay.
agenda, then we'll pick this up.
right,
I move to include the amendment on the agenda as item 13C.
see.
Moved by Deputy Mayor Wentworth, seconded by
Second.
Councilor Fawnin. Roll call.
Mayor Candelora,
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Wentworth,
Yeah.
Counselor Angeloni,
Yes.
Because I haven't got.
Counselor Caprio,
Yes.
Counselor Duty,
Yes.
Counselor Fawnin,
Yes.
Counselor Fuji.
Yes.
Okay, now I'd like to make a motion that the North Branford Town Council approves the following appropriation transfer as recommended by the town manager and the treasurer finance director, and this is for fiscal year 2012-13, and it's to correct, from last month, it's senior services, facilities maintenance, it's a $1,050 transfer going into equipment maintenance.
I'll move the motion.
Second.
Moved by Councilor Fucy, seconded by Deputy Mayor Wentworth. Roll call.
Mayor Candelora,
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Wentworth,
Yes.
Counselor Angeloni,
Yes.
Counselor Caprio,
Yes.
Counselor Duty,
Yes.
Counselor Fawnin,
Yes.
Counselor Fuji.
Yes.
Yeah. There was another item that you may want to consider tonight, which is the, sorry, this thing got, John had sent over the bills for Valenti,
Right.
which exceeds the daily cap, but I believe it's under the purchase order cap. Anthony, do you have the number on that?
The original PO was $20,000, and the balance is $14,250, which is the identical amount that we
Okay, so first we have to amend the agenda, so I'd like to amend the agenda to include item 13D, contract for Valenti. I don't know what the name is.
Second.
Moved by Councilor Angeloni, seconded by Councilor Fawnin. Roll call.
Mayor Candelora.
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Wentworth.
Yes.
Counselor Angeloni.
Yes.
Counselor Caprio.
Yes.
Counselor Duty.
Yes.
Counselor Fawnin.
Yes.
Counselor Fuji.
Yes.
All right, so, reading this, he went over the cap that we set.
Right, we had an agreement, council limited it to $1,000 a day, $125 an hour, but $1,000 a day. There were, I think, 4 days where he went over. By the way, this bill was for $14,250, but we paid a previous bill for $5,750 for services from July 17th to August 8th, which when added to this bill comes out exactly to $20,000. So that's the background I have on you. You can, I don't know if you want copies of the bills, but you have that cover sheet that sort of tells you. But that's not the full bill under that contract. There was previously, as I said, $5,750 that was paid, or authorized to be paid, so I assume it was paid.
Correct.
And the total of those two bills for this contract come out exactly to $20,000. Now, that wouldn't come out to $20,000 if you reduce the amount as indicated for those days that were more than $1,000 a day. There are 4 of them. I think it reduces it by about $3,400 approximately.
So we have a written contract that limits his services to $1,000 per day.
Mhm.
And did we request that he exceed that contractual limitation?
No, we didn't request it, nor would I be authorized to.
And
request it.
he didn't ask in advance if he could exceed the authorized amount.
It just seems hard that he worked 18 hours on the case
Not
in
for
one day.
nothing, but if you worked 18 hours on that Thursday, I'm gonna be Santa Claus for Christmas.
I think it's
Unless
important
some-
that Christine explained the explanation as to why he.
Yeah, I'd like an explanation, because we had an original contract, which, if I remember correctly, I'm
That's why we
paraphrasing,
did this.
said we were going to have his services for a specific sum of money that was literally going to take us from cradle to grave. It was going to take us from that point in time through the completion of the tax appeal. That didn't happen, and we got an amended contract for a substantial amount of money that we all took a deep breath on and said, wait a minute, we've got to control this. We put controls in the contract specifically requiring that he report to the town attorney and get approval of the town attorney before incurring any expenses. And now, on 4 different dates, he's exceeded those expenses. Somebody's got to tell me that there was a real overriding need for doing this without coming and getting prior authorization. Christine, do you have that explanation?
We were working on an appraisal with Teleton, that was the appraiser, to do this case. We were very short on time to complete this appraisal. The pre-trial was set for September 11. All the appraisal exchange took place by a court order on September 6th, which was a Friday. We had so little time to complete this appraisal that John Valenti was assisting the appraiser to finish the job on time, which explains the dates right here that are prior to the pre-trial. On the 5th and the 6th, we were actually in your office waiting for the facts to come through from both sides, both from the plaintiff and from the town, to complete these appraisals and send them through. So once the appraisals came in, we had a weekend to review them to prepare for court on Wednesday. So So that's why everything was pushed at the very last second, to try to complete the appraisals, finish the work, print them out. We talked back and forth. He talked with Teleton, with us, with all of us together, so that we can work out our strategy when we went into court on Wednesday.
What hours did you work on Thursday, from when to when?
Pardon me?
What hours did
Did
you
I
work?
work?
Were you with him the entire time he was working?
No, I was not. He works at his house. Once we received the appraisals, I had them. I was working starting from about 7 in the morning. I'd work through the day. I'd come here for part of the day. I'd go back at the end of the day, work until about midnight reading the appraisals, start again the next day, throughout the entire week.
And that was on the 6th.
Well, let's see, on the, right, the 6th, the 7th, the 8th, the 9th, all the way up until
So
the day of the
how did he bill
pretrial.
18 hours on the 15th, on the 5th?
On the 5th?
Yeah,
To try to finish up the appraisal for the 6th. It was due on the 6th, that was the exchange date for the appraisal. So he was working on the 5th with Teleton to finish the appraisals, to assist in getting them done on time, so that we can exchange on the 6th. They were just
16 hours
as
on
late
the
as
6th.
we were in exchanging the appraisals.
16.
When did this whole process start with this, to meet the deadline?
We had within 4 weeks to finish it, maybe 3.5 weeks.
You have 4 weeks
By
to
the time
finish
we
it?
started, for an appraisal that would normally take about, at a minimum, 7 weeks, 7 to 8 weeks to complete.
Is his work done now?
This is all done. He is done.
We're done with his contract.
We're finished with the contract, and this case has been settled.
I'm really a little bit perturbed about this, Christine, because we specifically had a discussion about controlling his cost, which was excessive the first time through, and he got an amended contract, but that, I think, very clearly explained to him. I have clients all the time that call me on my bills, and if I've exceeded a budget, I don't get paid.
well, the other thing is when we also discussed that amendment to his contract, is he gave us his best estimate to take us to trial, which we didn't even go to trial. So he basically exceeded it without even going to trial
Right.
on there. I'm very hesitant
I'm not paying them.
of going over this. 'Cause-
I would be in favor of not paying that bill either.
Well, just whatever was contracted, whatever the
Right,
cap
whatever he
was.
was contracted for, we pay him, and that's it. End of story. They didn't even come to us and ask for anything and say, look, we're working overtime, we need to do this or that, when it was stipulated right in their contract. They were supposed to talk to John, and John would have informed us.
Well, I don't know if he was informing you along the way of how many hours he was putting in. I know he was talking to Attorney Hall. She was aware of some of those hours, and he did mention to her that on a few meetings, he was up until 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning working on this appraisal and review.
Actually-
And prepping Teleton for the trial.
Actually, Attorney Hall was the one who authored that note in the first instance, and then I reviewed it afterwards. I didn't have any conversations with him. Actually, the agreement doesn't even provide for an authorization or request. This covers a period of about 7 weeks, July 17th to September 11th. It's about 7 weeks, and that was about 160 hours. And I don't think I would have the ability to authorize him to go beyond that time because the contract had a cap on it, $1,000 a day. I'm not questioning whether he did the work, or whether it took that much time to do it. You asked about the contract. The contract said what it said, $125 a day, max $1,000 a day.
And I say that's what we stick to.
Me too.
My inclination is to hold him to the contract. If he's got a better explanation or a reason why we should vary that and pay anything above what we contractually agreed to pay, I think he's gonna have to come here and make that presentation himself. But short of that, he had a contract, 2 contracts, and exceeded both of them. He was hired, I missed the meeting, I went on vacation. He was hired initially, and I didn't have any input on that first contract. I did have input on this amended contract. And I think I made it clear that I was concerned with the costs he was incurring and expected him to adhere to the new amended contract. So I'm not inclined to pay out $3,600 of taxpayer money without justification for it, and I have not heard it so far.
Did he give you
think
an
we all
itemized list of the hours and the
Yes, he
type
did.
of work that he completed?
Why isn't
again,
he here
before we
speaking
beat
for
this all
himself?
night, I mean, we're not discussing whether or not he did the work. We're saying
We're
that
holding
he
him
had
to
a
a contract.
contract,
Right.
and he's given us a bill above and beyond his contract without getting it authorized by us. You know, I don't see how we pay that in good conscience, personally.
I'm not.
I agree with Joe.
I concur.
I'm sure he would come here if you wanted him to appear and make a
Well,
presentation.
He
We
can,
we could take a formal vote, but I think the consensus is we're not inclined to pay more than the contract calls for unless there is some legitimate justification for the excess hours, and the town got some unexpected benefit that we did not foresee coming, nor did he, and it required an overrun of $3,600 that he had to deal with without prior approval. If there is such an explanation, I'm willing to listen to it, and I'm willing to reconsider my position. But right now, I think the consensus is, we have a contract, that's what we're living with.
Well, basically, the explanation would be to assist the appraiser in finishing this appraisal by the exchange date.
Christine,
work
I
had to
deal
be
with,
done to
I
do
deal
it
with
because we
appraisers
were-
all the time. I don't assist them, I have no input. In fact, I don't even know if it's legitimate to try to influence an appraiser in rendering his opinion that's going to go to court. It's the appraiser that's going to testify.
God bless you.
And he's having his opinion formulated by a consultant to the town. I'm really not sure that's kosher at all.
I don't think it's quite to that extent, but I wasn't there when he was assisting. I saw some paperwork go back and forth. It was
I
more
engage
with
appraisers
corrections.
by giving them a property address, I ask them for a quote, and I ask them when I'm gonna get a report back.
I
That's the
think
amount
what
of
he was
influence I
doing
have
was
on them.
finding some facts for him. He would ask me to do a few things, like trying to get floor plans for him and trying to get area, square footage, sales in the area to compare with, to save him time, so that he could get it done on time. I don't think he was actually
Didn't we
influencing
specify this guy
him.
was supposed to keep his work to his expertise and not go above and beyond assisting? I think that's what we had said too, when we did this contract. I mean, no matter what he comes in front of us and says, as far as I'm concerned, we have a contract, we will pay him to the full extent of the contract, and that's it. Because honestly, I'm not really too thrilled with the whole situation. Every time somebody comes before us, they always want more money, more money, more money. There's a solid contract, we'll pay him for the contract as far as I'm concerned, and that is it.
Yep.
Well,
I mean, I
thank you.
think we all agree.
Yeah. All right. So, I guess, John, we don't need a vote or anything. I think the council is pretty clear as far as paying.
Well, we've got a contract where we approved $20,000, so we're gonna pay up to that limit.
There's
Right.
nothing to vote on.
Yeah,
Right.
there really isn't. If, we'd have to vote if we're going to pay
More.
above and beyond what the
Well-
contract approved.
Well, it's more the $1,000 a day issue, because if the 14,000 plus the 5,700 comes, but that 14,000 includes the 3,600 that is overbilled. So we're actually honoring the $1,000, the cap on the contract,
Fine.
not the 20,000.
Whatever it is, it is.
I mean, just so that he doesn't come in and say, well, I billed
Come
you
in
for
and say whatever he
20,000
wants.
total.
He was copied on the letter that the council had.
Yeah.
Yes, it's,
Don't think we're using him again either.
So you're right, it would be, it actually comes out to 20,000 minus the overage, which I heard 3,600.
3625 according to
It's
the,
that difference, and, but,
We'll have to squeak by on 20,000.
you ought to probably vote, so Mr. Esposito knows what he's supposed to do.
okay, I would like to make a motion that Valenti, I don't even know the name of his company. It's
Well,
not
actually,
on
let
here.
me say this, the contract says that the amount has to be approved by the assessor and the town attorney.
What a racket.
And so I've indicated that I approve of the amount minus $3,600.
Right, so you approve of a payment of $10,625.
I believe that's correct. I
Okay.
don't know if Mr. Esposito.
That's all I need to do. Yeah, because the prior bill went the same routine, went through John. So if he's signing off on the amount and you're in concurrence.
So we don't need a motion then?
No.
Okay, that's fine.
Citizen statements and petitions.
I just have one question in regards to the boards and commissions from Lisa Valenti. On the last page, there's the South Central Cable Advisory Council and the East Shore District Board of Directors. Who appoints those people? The council?
We do.
Council appoints the
Well, well, the only thing is Denise Judelson is on there and she has moved
Yeah,
out of
she's gone. I
town.
know, we have to have someone replace.
That's why
her.
Firestein's still on there too.
And,
And he's dead?
and,
20 years.
and Joe Tenzar is on the Cable Advisory as an education member, but he's no longer employed by the Board of Ed, so, Mike, if you can send because the Board of Ed, I guess, one is from Education, if you can just send them a letter telling them that they need to appoint someone to fill the vacancy on the South Central Connecticut Cable Advisory Council.
The East Shore District Health, District is, which I'm on, they're looking for someone in the medical field to try to go on. It doesn't have to be someone from the school board, but they would prefer to be represented by the school.
Okay.
So I don't know if it's any nurse or something that might be on.
And maybe we could revisit too, if we actually applied for any grant money for security for the schools. I had requested a copy of the grant that we allegedly sent to the state. I've never received any information on it. We
I
were,
thought I read in the paper that our school didn't apply for anything. I don't know.
Well, they listed, the governor's office came out with all the towns that received grant money, and North Branford was not in that listing of all
Did
the.
they indicate there was some additional money, though, that was going to be funded at some future date? I think I read that same
there
one.
may be round two, and that's why I want, if we didn't apply in round one, I think it would be a
If we screwed up,
disservice.
let's not do it again.
Right.
No, because there is money there. I don't know why we didn't get any.
Well, I
I
think
don't think they applied for it.
Yeah, my information is that they applied for it, didn't get it, they were reapplying for it, and I think a lot of it went dispersed into the urban areas.
Well, North Haven got a good chunk of money.
Good chunk of money.
Yeah,
You know
I
what?
don't know the
Out of it.
methodology.
Right.
or the
Well, you know what?
criteria they used.
Let's get a copy of that first grant application, and maybe, we could review it and
If I remember the
help them
article
fill it
correctly,
out.
it said that the money was not available for the security guards.
Right, but
It was available for other items like buzzer activation.
right, and in the communication committee meeting in August,
Hardware.
when we asked him about that, they said that they did apply for it because they did do some security upgrades, cameras, door locks, that types of thing.
So let's find out if we applied for it. If we didn't, and there's any money left, let's make sure we do.
Right.
Oh, my God.
There's a lot of grant money out there. It's too bad the town of North Branford can't find some way to get it. We don't seem to get many grants. Fire grants we get, but we don't seem to get other grants that, there's a lot out there, because I see them all the time. And I don't know why other towns are getting them and we can't get them.
There are towns that are needing consultants specifically for the purpose of applying for grants, finding them and applying for
Some
them.
of them actually have people come in that can do that, and they get a percentage of the
Right,
grant.
that's how it
their
works.
pay.
Yep.
But if you get the rest, maybe we could find somebody.
We have had somebody, I met a guy at a party once, and he said he worked for for Rich Brannigan on a certain grant. And he told me he was paid exactly that way. He was paid like 10% of
There's a lot of
whatever
people that do
the
that.
town got.
Hmm.
Well, let me see if I can find out if there's somebody available that, because I'll tell you, we're gonna look for some, we have to look for something else besides taxes.
All right, motion go to executive session.
So moved. Limited to the town manager, town attorney, and the council, is that it?
Is that it?
Second.
Moved by Deputy Mayor Wentworth, seconded by Councilor Angeloni, go into executive session pending litigation with the town manager, town attorney. Roll call?
Mayor Candelora?
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Wentworth?
Yes.
Counselor Angeloni?
Yes.
Counselor